Hello. Let me drink some water. Welcome to my cake kitchen. I am Gladys. And if we're meeting for the first time, I make cakes. Okay? I love cakes. And over here, I make simple, informative tutorials to help you navigate baking and decorating easily. There's Dawn in the chat. Dawn, good afternoon. You're like, you look fresh, honey. I went and I rested. Did I? Lies. Okay. But you know what? I am not operating from a place of go, go, go. I think I am. When I feel great, I look it. And when I'm stressed, I can't hide it. So thank you for being here. It's just you and I at the moment, but last time I was here, you guys had some requests, okay? You did. And so when I go shopping for notes, when I go shopping for notes, flashcards and notes, okay, actually, let me just be a little, these are my, look, I've been shopping for notes, okay? When I go shopping for notes, it's about to be a good time. Because we have ideas we have to plunge into. There are things we have to do. But my dear Dawn, how are you? How are you keeping? I hope you had a good weekend. Always a pleasure to have you back. And I did catch up on some of your chats with Tapita and Jackie and everyone else in the chat. You guys are having fun. And most of the time, I feel like I'm missing out, okay? I'm missing out because I did go and have a look. First of all, you don't look 63, Dawn. You do not. And I've seen the picture, haven't I? Those who were like, you don't, we are not flattering you, honey. That is true. The skin is refreshed. The nails are banging. Dawn, I want to be like you when I'm 63, okay? But I hope you had a good weekend. Great, people. For the rest of you who are here to catch up, we are talking, look, there is quite some, there's no baking to do, or at least I hope. Not this week. Not this week, at least. So it's going to be a fun time for me, at least for now, until a cake comes in and throws the entire thing out of the bag. But my plans were for us to have a session about, I have some scrap cakes, and you know we make good use of scrap cakes, and there's a lot I want to do with scrap cakes, okay? But today I just thought, after such a busy baking session all week last week, the intention was to come back and have a look and catch up on some of the discussions we had, what I missed, so that we can catch up on some of them, okay? That's where we are at. So for anyone who is joining us over here, thank you for being here. And if it's your first time, perhaps you want to consider liking and subscribing to the channel. We primarily make cakes over here, okay? It is cakes, but today we are not talking cakes. Today, we are talking the reality of being a home baker. Hopefully with the intention of, or aspiring to become a business. So at least a home baker with the intention of transitioning. Whether your transition is active, whether your plans are set in stone, whether you're just trying to figure it out. Hopefully, some section of today's video is going to give you some information about what to expect what it looks like. I will caveat that by saying the experience is always going to be different for each different individual and your circumstance. Location for some of the very business specific activity is going to differ widely. So this video is going to be set in the experience of just mine, what it has looked like, so that at least at some point, if you're experiencing any of these experiences, you will not feel alone. Okay, because that is important. Sometimes life just lives and business just businesses, okay, and you have goals and aspirations and things you want to do, and you are having some struggles that you don't know where to go from, right? So the goal of this video, as much as I will be answering some of the questions I received in the live videos, the previous ones, there were conversations and things that were going, and I did, some were directed personally towards me, as in asking me questions or making like some positive comments, somebody trying to get my attention or engage with me. And last week's sessions were very busy because, was it last week or I can't remember now, my brain is fuzzy, but I was caught up in my the business of tutorials and very busy doing something. So when that happens, I am not as engaged in the live chat. So I've just gone back, looked at a lot of the chatter. I've picked up a few questions. I want to cover those. Those will be in a later section. But if you're seeing this video, at least on replay, this portion covers what the experience, the unique experience you are likely to encounter or have if you are a home baking business, or at least from a home baker, what some of the experiences you should be prepared for. That is if you have not got a clue, because for most people the experience of becoming a baker just starts from a love for something that you probably have been doing for a lifetime, a passion project, or you chanced into it. Like me, I chanced into baking. I don't have the baker story of going from my mom was a baker and she did all of these things and taught me how to bake. That's not my story. I have said that story time and again. I probably will come back and do a proper video on it, but I was a carer and I was working with a client who loved to cook, and part of the baking activity was an extension of the cooking activity that we used to do, which was fun and something to distract us from the heaviness of the day. And then as that time went on and we enjoyed the process, I then began to work on some of the recipes, because at the time we had nothing, no equipment, and we had to improvise things a lot. But my goal was to kind of make the mistakes behind the scenes at home when I was off work, just so that when I go back to work and I make suggestions for some baking recipes, they are suited for our circumstance. So for instance, because I didn't have a scale at work, I will seek recipes that didn't require, that were easy for adaptability. Probably that's where my love for adaptable recipes come from. So I would seek recipes that are very specific to changes if needed. So a recipe that can probably tolerate all the different mixing methods, so that if in case I get used to using a stand mixer and I get into a situation I don't have a stand mixer, I can still like make a quick turn around and make sure things happen for me. And that is exactly what I did. And then after I left work, obviously my love for the curiosity behind the scenes began to grow. And as time went on and on and on, I just realized that I loved turning this basic pantry ingredients of flour, sugar, and eggs into something really nice. And it was the joy when I used to make these cakes with the client. It was, we would share some with their family, and it was just the joy on people's faces and how we talked about it. And then a dear family member once complimented me, because when we went to give the cakes, they were like, oh, you know, the client didn't make that, they said. And I was like, but we made it. And they're like, oh, you did it and you're quite good. So it was more like, even though it was a collaborative effort, because the client had difficulties that the family knew they couldn't complete a whole big session, they credited me with the result. And that gave me a feel-good factor. It also went to validate the curiosity I had behind the scenes, showing that the work I was doing was working. So eventually, once I transitioned, I didn't quit the curiosity and the baking experiments. Then I continued, and very quickly I realized that, oh, I actually love this. And that was when I decided to take my first class. When I took my first in-person classes, it was just to enhance my skill and to give me an idea of what my future was, because I was also facing some personal circumstances. And then I was beginning to think about my life in a way where I felt like if I woke up and I didn't have a job, like a traditional 9-to-5 job, what would I do? So taking the business, the one-to-one class was to set me up for just in case. There was never at that point an intention where I thought, oh, I want to actually make this into a business and I actually want to grow and end up on YouTube. None of that. Okay. So that is how baking started for me, just from a curious place of experimenting behind the scenes to assist a client, would eventually tap into my love of baking. And 10 years plus in, here we are. But boy, what I know now, if I had known then, probably I wouldn't pursue baking, because when you start baking, you love it. Back to the original point, you just love something that you do every day, and you love the fact that it brings you joy. And we have all had things we are passionate about, whether it is, you know, a friend group, doing something, knitting. I'm not even talking about just your mere hobby, but something that you're passionate about. And sometimes it's not even an activity you're doing in the kitchen or anything. Is it your love of public speaking that most of the time when you are in a group of people, you want to be heard? All of this. And then suddenly you realize that these things can actually carry on and advance to life-changing opportunities for you. But when you start in the kitchen, you're not even thinking you're a business, because when you start in the kitchen, if you thought that, oh, I want to be a business, then you will optimize yourself for a business before you even get to the kitchen. So what are some of the expectations? What are some of the things you should do hope for when you start? Well, what are some of the things no one ever tells you? No one ever tells you before you even decide that, ooh, I am going to make this thing I love into a business. Well, first of all, some of the everyday experiences are that by the time you are in your kitchen, something must have led you there. Okay, can we just touch on that? Either you have a full-time job you are bored to death with and you're looking for a way out and suddenly you love baking, or you've been baking and you just think nothing will come of it, so you have a job. But suddenly you're like, I can't let this go. Something brought you to the kitchen. So whether you have a full-time job, you are feeling depressed, because there are aspects of my story where I had to bake because I was depressed and I had to kind of focus on something. So whether the route to the kitchen, okay, let me put it this way. The route to the kitchen is not a one-way road, okay? Something would have brought you. We all have different experiences. Like Tabitha has been baking since she was in her mother's womb. And if you don't know Tabitha, Tabitha is our friend to the channel. She is here with, is she here? Is Tabitha here? No, Tabitha is not here yet. Okay. Tabitha has been baking since she was a baby in her mother's womb. So she's been doing it for a lifetime. I found baking closer to when I was 30. I'm not anymore. And Dawn, a lifetime of experience, and many people. So what would have brought you to the kitchen would be different. But what will challenge you when you get to the kitchen is your expectation before in the midst of the reality. Because when you think about a business, you think about organize, you think about establish, you think about all things in order. And yet you are in this kitchen. Reality is, I'm stood in my small kitchen. We are here. And you're going to have to get used to your little space and be comfortable in it and to trust the process. If no one has told you, the business is not just going to go from your kitchen and magically transform into an organized space, okay? You will have to make the organizing. You will have to invest in those. In the meantime, though, you're stuck in a kitchen where you cook your dinner and your kid comes to do the washing up. Okay, get used to it. And that's That is where mindset comes in. Just because you're stuck in your kitchen, in the small space that is full of washing up and looks probably untidy at that moment in time, doesn't mean that there is no opportunity. The opportunity is that you are there, you have the skill, and you just have to work harder. Then this conversation is for you. Okay? This conversation is for you because we're talking about the realities, the untold realities of going from a home baker to a business. But before we come to how you can position yourself to actually actively transition, I am actually touching on some of the experiences you will be having in your kitchen that are not unusual, but if you're not careful, they will ruin your aspirations. Because if you're stuck in the kitchen and the kitchen is not done up and you go on social media and everybody's kitchen looks white and organized, suddenly you feel a waste, and then you come back to telling yourself, oh, let me wait until I move homes. Because suddenly you're thinking, let me move homes. Wait. Let me sit down. Okay. Because I kind of feel like this conversation is about to get real. Because I think I need a cup of tea. Do I? Hello, people. It's me again. Because this conversation is just about to get real. Yep. Class is in session and I need me a cup of tea, but we'll leave the cup of tea. So the untold realities of going from a home baker to a business, that will take a whole process. And I think as this goes on as the series, because I'm hoping that I can turn this into a series and probably recreate the content in some sort of long form, just so that it becomes like an educational resource or an informative resource for you to go into. But the live sessions are supposed to make these sessions easy to discuss in detail, whereas if I transform it into a long form video, it has to be very succinct and straight to the point. So I am hoping I can recreate this in a succinct way, maybe to cover a full 8.5 minutes, but then people can always come back to the live for context where I am able to explain some of the details. Does that make sense? So one of the realities then is, if you're stuck in your kitchen, one of the things you have to be mindful of is your own mindset and comparison, because you are just starting, you are here, you are discovering what you want to do in the moment and the real lifetime experience you're having. You probably just had a baby, you've just lost your job, you've quit your job. You're probably an immigrant who's just coming. Whatever your circumstance is, your circumstance didn't come with the know-it-all. Your circumstance determined or defined an opportunity for you to grow and become the thing you want to. So it's important that when you decide that you want to go from A to B, you recognize the influencing factors that may likely keep you at A. And if you're not careful, it will keep you there for a long time. And 10 years later, you wake up and your dream is still just a dream. And so the untold reality is that it takes a long time if you don't have support systems, if you don't go out to seek at least some sort of alignment. You don't have to put your dreams in somebody else's pocket. And just because you're watching me here doesn't mean that your outcomes have to marry what I am already preaching or what I have established. What you should actually hope for, though, is that if I'm telling you, you know what, starting a business is harder than you think, you should be smart enough to ask me what the exact experiences were that made it harder. Hopefully, I will be able to give you some insight so that you can avoid my sort of mistakes or ones that are similar. But it also doesn't mean you will make mistakes, honey. You will make your own mistakes. Because your story, your journey, your circumstance is completely different from mine. So what nobody tells you is the state of your kitchen, what it looks like, and probably what challenges it will bring you. And baking from your kitchen when you start, depending on where you are, because at some point when you go and register with the council, that is just telling the council that you are going to observe the rules and regulations that will pertain to baking as a business. What does that really look like? Besides adhering to the guidelines, it really doesn't mean anything, because certainly registering with the council and the council coming to your home to do the inspection doesn't mean that your kitchen has changed. And so you are going to have to then approach your kitchen and your space with a lot more, what's the word? The word has escaped me. Oh, people, God. You're going to have to treat your kitchen as a workspace. Will it always feel like that? No. But you're going to have to follow it as prescribed by the rules of food safety guidelines. Because one of the things you'll find when the food safety officer comes, and if you follow the guidelines, you cannot cook, like cooking, you cannot be cooking the same time for your household when baking is happening. The reason is they're trying to avoid what? Cross-contamination. So how disciplined are you to observe the practice and the practical aspect of your baking diligently when no one is watching? Just because it's your kitchen doesn't necessarily mean you can get away with any and every activity. So you're going to have to approach your kitchen as a business place. You're going to have to do extra work in there to make sure that it is presentable, and you are going to have to hold yourself accountable when you are not doing the thing you're supposed to be doing. And that is where you will even observe your own shortfalls. What are you like with us in time management? Are you disciplined enough, or you're like a little sleep, a little slumber? Because we can all sleep, we can all do a little sleep and do a little slumber, and poverty will creep on us. So, falling in love with your kitchen and treating your kitchen space, even though it's your home, as a workspace and a work resource will be the thing that will help align with your goals moving forward. Okay? I won't belabor the point, but I hope I have made that clear. Then I say, never would I have been aware of this. This is great. Thank you. You said it. I mean, it was you who asked the question. So I'm like, remember, I keep to my word, people. I'm like, you know what? It's great if the views pile in and I get 1 million views and I'm over here excited. I will kid you not. I'll be happy. I still do this for an audience of one, which is that when you ask me a question and there's value to be provided, I'll give you. So you asked, you like, glad I enjoyed the content, but I would love it if it could be, yeah. And I'm like, okay, got it. I told you I was going to think about it. So anyway, next thing, home baker, prepare for some tension in your relationships. The untold stories or untold experiences of home baker to business. Be prepared for tension in relationships. And this is not a good or a bad, but I want you to focus on what I'm saying here, okay? Because it starts at home. I mean, when I say tension in your relationship, don't even think about the friends. The friends are just extra. They are secondary. The tension in your relationship starts with the partner you live with. Okay? Because suddenly, they're dating you, they married you, whatever your situation is over here. Okay? You had all the time in the world. Once upon a time, your time was you go to work, you come home, and then you go out on dates and have fun. Mindless. And then boom, suddenly you found a dream. And suddenly all the opportunities are there. You're like, I could do this, you know. And the realization of that will change you as a person. Suddenly you don't have time to waste over here. Suddenly you are obsessed. Okay? You are obsessed. There's a reason why your sister out here is single. Like a Pringle. You are obsessed. And that obsession is not healthy. You have to be comfortable with yourself to know that, you know what? You can't have everything at the same time. These people out here telling you hustle culture and that the friends who don't support you are hating. Nobody hates you in that kitchen when you're trying to figure your recipe out. Nobody hates you. Let's be clear. The friends over there, they are figuring out their life on their own. And the partner who is nagging you, if you are being really, really honest, it's not because they are a terrible partner, they don't want to support you. It is because the commitment that is required to keep a relationship going intimately, emotionally, and in a compatible way has suddenly shifted. And all they are doing is fighting for their place. Okay, let's be clear. So this business of, oh, my partner is not supporting me. Sit your butt down over here and ask yourself, when you decided to change the dynamics of your relationship by falling in love with cake over here, did you have a conversation with him? Okay? Did you have a conversation with anyone? I don't know. Did you even consider that, you know, I love cake and I would appreciate some support, because you know what? Your relationship with cake is going to also change your finances. Let's come sit here with me, people. It is going to change your finances because at this point, think about it. I'm not talking about when you are structured, when you know what you are doing and you are like disciplined, and no, I'm talking about you figured out one day you love cakes. You can't stop baking. You're not selling anything, but you are buying flour. Butter is not cheap. So suddenly, the extra money that you used to take to TGI Fridays and all the restaurants and places, you are short. Prepare for that tension at home. So, what it will, not just that, okay? It's not just the tension of the shift in dynamic. It is also the tension of the financial impact of your noun, your new goals. The whole thing is funny to me. I'm telling you, this is very personal to me because these are some of the experiences I had, and I was out here like I have a business. Like, what? Since there is no business here, what there is a realization and a lot of dululu. And suddenly everybody who challenges you, you're like, oh, they're hating. They're not. Okay? So fall in love with your kitchen. Treat the kitchen as a workspace. It will empower you. It will keep you focused on your goals. Start where you are. Use the resources that you have. Be aware that your newfound goals will expose the cracks in your relationship, the most important being your very close and personal, intimate relationship will be challenged. That is if you want to go with this. Really, if you really want to ride with this, I'm not talking about waking up every Tuesday and thinking you have a new goal and something you love. Like today, you like flower making. Tomorrow, you want to go London traveling. And tomorrow next, you love baking. I'm not talking about that. When you finally decide that I love baking and I really want to make baking my life, and you begin to take the steps to make that happen, it will shift some things in your life. And one of those will be the close relationship that you used to enjoy all that extra time that you had. And so that will require a conversation with yourself to say, this request my partner is making of me, are they being unreasonable or I am being selfish? And the answer will be down to you as the person. The answer is just yours and yours alone. It took me a little over it took me a long time, okay, before I could sit with myself to realize that, oh, you know what, this person here, actually I took my eye off the ball over a few things, and I was just naive because I just had an undiscussed expectation. I just felt like the expectation will be innate. But the support of a partner will come in various ways. The support of a partner may not be them actively supporting your goals here. And no, the support of a partner may just be quietly being in the background and not even whinging when you cancel that date on them because you suddenly found a new recipe you wanted to start making in the kitchen. That's what a support will be like. Like he's not giving you the stress and nagging you and complaining about how awful you have been and how you have changed, but just quietly sitting in the discomfort of that new experience is support. And at some point, you have to then sit with the person and have a conversation about where your life is headed and how this thing is so important to you, and if they want to support you. And if they don't want to support you, that's cool too. And you will have a decision to make as to whether you want to pursue this or your relationship is more important to you. And neither is good nor bad. Sometimes some things are good for a certain season. And in that season, if this relationship is really, 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 really important, sis, just focus on that relationship and know that the potential of harvesting that relationship in its full form will probably be the foundation that will eventually help you to build your dreaming future. But for now, you're probably going to have to put your obsession in a bucket a little bit and bake when you can. That's all. I told you. But the other aspect of that, relationship thing also comes from friends and family. You know, you started baking, it's all fun and good. And it depends on how much you're baking. If you're that into it and you're baking a lot, it means you have a lot of surplus to go. And so the surplus starts going, you are financially tight over here. But because you're giving it to friends and family and you're suddenly taking all, like, you want every and sundry to come to you for cake, they will. You'll have this person calling you, be like, oh, have you got spare cake? And you and your excited self will run to the kitchen to bake, and yet the account is looking like zero. I've been there, I've done it. Okay? I've been there. Like, they'll call you, they'll be like, oh, the cake. That is if you love it and you're doing a good job already and your recipes are yielding the results you want them to be. The friends will call you, believe me, including the ones who don't even like cake that much, because suddenly all your friend group are like, oh, this person makes cakes. Oh, you know what? I had a red velvet cake. Because trust me, your friends will now be experiencing what it looks like first time having a homemade cake. Because up until this point, believe me, most of them have only just had an Asda cake. Okay, most of them have just had an Asda cake. And then you, with your very determined self, stood there in the kitchen and put a bake from scratch together with all the passion. It is always going to be better than a shop-bought cake. So suddenly you've opened them to a new experience what they don't realize and what you don't realize is that you are introducing your entire group of people to a gourmet meal that is going to cost you. And it's not just going to cost you money, it is going to cost you that friendship down the line when you decide to transition from giving the free cakes to actually pricing the cakes. So be prepared for that. Dreaming of wanting to turn your home bakery into a business will take you approaching and dealing with some inner problems with yourself, whether it's self-doubt, whether it is your fear of rejection, whether it's a people-pleasing nature, whether it's a person who has no boundaries. The most success you will get as a business will reflect on who you become as a person approaching that business. It doesn't mean successful business people are good people, but successful business people have learned to know who they are. So it's comfortable. I used to be friends with you. I gave you cakes. My friendship with you shouldn't be dependent on cake. But if you're mad at me because I refused to make you that last minute cake because you called me 10 p.m. expecting the cake for 8 a.m. in the morning, I am a magician. And if you're willing to lose me on that basis and you cannot hold a conversation with me as a friend for me to tell you my point of view and for you to hold the tension and say, you know what, my expectation for this bestie out here was very unrealistic. But even if it was realistic, maybe they had good reason to turn me down. Cool. I agree to disagree. I didn't like what you did, friend, but you know what? I love you, and next time I won't call you at 10 p.m. I'll give you a week's notice. How about that? Let's kiss and make up. If you cannot do that with me as a friend, goodbye. And now that I'm telling you this, I'm looking back and thinking, oh, I'm going to let that one sit with you. I'm going to let that one. Dawn says, I don't eat cake, but I love the reaction from people eating my homemade cake and baked goods. Yeah. Some of us, that's what has, that is the thing that has kept us from growing. Because we don't care about the selling and the business. We care about, oh, they feel good. Okay? Okay? So people, and by the way, another tip on the friends, be careful who you sell your dream with. Those relationships, yeah, those friends. When you have that little dream over here, and I say it's little, okay? And you go to bed and this thing is on your heart and you really, really want to make it work. And because you are so delulu, and then you call your friend, they don't care about cake. In fact, they found themselves some boyfriend and they want to chit chat because your conversational content will change too. Because you're in the kitchen, you're obsessed about this thing. It's exciting. You want to tell somebody. In the same parallel, that friend found a new boyfriend. That boyfriend is crazy. Does this look like this is my real life? It used to. Okay? Like, they wanted to talk about that toxic boyfriend they have found on the side and it's giving them problems. And you used to be the person they used to talk to about all the drama. And then suddenly you want to talk about cake. Or you figure, I can't talk about cakes right now. I can't talk to you about that. It's a waste of my time. I want to go do this thing. Suddenly you're not a good friend anymore. And even worse, if those friends do not have the capability, and this is not a good or bad friendship, let's be clear. What I want to actually emphasize on is not making friendships look bad because suddenly you discovered your dream. No, It's about balance. It's about fine-tuning. It's about realization, and it's about how you grow through the process. And one of the realities is that you are going to have to grow and realize who has the ability to nurture your dream based on how you feel about your dream, and who probably hasn't got it, will never have it, okay? And probably because of their own experience has the tendency of killing your dream without even knowing. Okay? You are going to have to figure that out. You'll find that every time you speak to Mercy, I don't have a Mercy in my life. It's a pseudonym. Mercy is like how the immigration rules have changed and life is a struggle, and they don't think they want to be in the UK. And you, with your visa issues, you're thinking of growing a business and being successful at it in the same environment your friend wants to give up on. You're going to have to grow the discernment of realizing that, you know what, different experiences for different people. Even the person who tells you to focus on a traditional job, it's not a bad person. They're not giving you bad advice. They're giving you advice based on their own experience and probably what they have observed tangibly. So they're giving you something that may be true and real, but it may not be yours to take. It may just not. You probably may have been made for, let me just go try this thing, fail, and I'll be okay. And at least I'll be all right. As long as you're not out here taking stupid risks. But you know what? What's even stupid risk? It's subjective. Because maybe the worse the risk, the bigger the lesson. It's all relative and dependent on who you are, your very specific circumstance, and what you are willing to give or take. And by just wanting to follow your dream, you will quickly find out what is important to you as a person. And sometimes you'll find out that as a person, you value safety and security, whatever that looks like. Because safety and security looks different to different people. Safety and security to one person looks like going to that job they don't care about, but they would rather die on the job than give it up because the consistent income is safety. Your safety and security looks like you are okay, even if it means you go to bed not knowing where tomorrow's bill will be paid, but you're okay. And don't let anyone tell you different about what is important to you, as long as you can stick with that. Because ultimately, if you make the decision, you suffer the consequence. So do not allow another person to influence your life's goals and your outcomes, because ultimately, you are going to live with it. So tell a friend your dream of making this cupcake business or cake business big and expect them to look at you like, there you go again. Like the relationships that haven't worked in your life. They're like, is this also going to work? Oh, Mama Bear, great to have you back in the chat, darling. How are you? We are having a no-bake session today, but we're having a very, very, very important conversation on the untold stories or untold experiences about having the dream as a home baker who wants to transition from being a hobby baker to becoming a business. And some of the things no one tells you happens. So you know what? When that friend tells you, like when I started, my bestie used to tell me, when they, because the thing at the time was, the thing is, okay, when I started, all these things I've told you, I used to do, okay? So I'm telling you, so when it's happening to you, you don't feel like it is you, like it is, it's not unusual. But the difference here is that I didn't know where to look. Nobody was on YouTube telling me. YouTube will give you the baking recipe, okay? It will give you the structured business advice about the registration and all the things you need to do. It's all structured. It's even in a course for you to go and buy, okay? What no one is telling you is how messy their journey started, with the struggles they had, the struggles they continue to have. If you've looked to the side these days on the other competing platforms like TikTok, Plant-Made, it's a huge business. It was a black-owned hair care business. And they appeared successful until, boom, they went into administration. And now the story on the streets here is the person who acquired the business took it away from the founder of the business. And now it's not like a full-on back and forth, but it's a chatter on the street. The internet streets, I mean, okay? Nobody, when Plant-Made declared administration, nobody knew, because what you would see is that the creator was online creating content. She does that very well. And her content was packaged to support the growth of her business. And she grew it from the ground up. Her founding story was that she had dry hair and some skin issues. She couldn't find hair care products or something, and she formulated this mixture oil in her house supported by her mom, and suddenly it became this thing, okay? So how did she start? She started in her kitchen like you would with your cake business. In your kitchen, you put together a recipe that becomes a hit. Most people will come for that recipe and your popularity will grow. And with the emergence of social media, you get on social media, one person says, oh, I like this oil, another, and boom, you have a business. And like that, that's how she started. But up until she declared administration and now not part of her own founded business, everybody would have assumed, oh, this business is doing good. Because you know what? If you go and see her previous content, part of her content covered how much they were making in turnover. Come to find out, they were losing money. And part of why they went into administration was because they were losing up to, I think, 50,000 a day, something. I don't want to speculate. I'm just bringing that as a fact, that just because someone is online putting their business out there doesn't necessarily mean they are as successful as you think. But success means different things to different people. Perhaps her definition of success wasn't in monetary value. Her definition of success was in the fact that she took something from her kitchen that she knew nobody knew anything about, a concoction she developed to heal herself, and suddenly she is validated because the world accepts that. So maybe if we speak to this founder, all this trouble about her business and everything, she probably, will it be discomforting for her? Yeah. Is it discouraging? Yes. But do you think she goes to bed and worry about it? Probably not. Because her definition of success is a different thing other than what? Monetary gain. But boy, has she probably learned from what business looks like when you lose it. Of course. She has learned now because she's lost the whole business. And it's the same for a vegan company that started. And now the guy is on TikTok. He is creating a whole series from how he started the business, how successful it was. He scaled it quickly and then it fell apart. The truth is that the information about wanting to start a business and becoming successful at it is never linear. Okay, it's never going to be, I found the dream, it worked, and so I have got the money. Half of the time, the ones you see who have been successful are unable to tell you the entire story because it's long and they've outgrown the story. And so there is no reason for for them to come tell you about the failures they have had. But just in how many minutes of talking to you, I guess you have known that being on YouTube today didn't start like that. Like I said, you will have friends that you will lose, the conflict with the partner, treating your kitchen differently, healing yourself through the process, because you will grow through the process of wanting to make your business into something. You will. Because if you don't grow and you are still this person, how are you going to offer anything to anybody out there? How are you going to do that? Bottom line, be open-minded to the changes and the experiences that will come your way, and be brutally honest about what they look like for you. And ultimately, sometimes the decisions will look like this. Like I told you, stick with the relationship long enough, because the relationship might be the foundation that will help build your dream. Lose that friendship quick enough, because you need to keep a mental space where at least you are not having to deal with self-doubt. Because the influences that are in our ear all the time do eventually impact us. Believe me. Your inability to rise above your circumstance in that moment is probably determined by the people you are surrounded by, who have never broken free out of the situation they are in through no fault of their own. But sometimes the one wanting to do it has to accept that it's going to be lonely, and it's going to probably lead to you looking ridiculed out here, but it's okay. And yet you're having all these drinks in that kitchen anyway, the tiny kitchen. The tiny kitchen in the house you don't own. So we've talked about your relationship with your kitchen, your relationship with the partner and the friends, okay? And limitation on time and resource, time and space. I think that ties into what I have already spoken about. When you determine that you want to make this work, you probably have a full-time job. And between a full-time job, a partner, and maybe if you have family, as in a child to take care of, where are you going to get the time to do all of these things? Hello? Where? Because this business about quitting your day job to go and pursue your passion is bullshit. Let's just be clear. Okay? Okay, let's be clear. This business of, oh, let me quit the business, let me quit my job. Let me see what we're missing in the chat. Deborah says, thanks Gladys, very much for the Gravity Defying. I just finished watching it and it's really helpful. Deborah, you're welcome. You are so welcome. I'm pleased the video is of some help to you. Okay, stick around. You don't just get tutorial videos, you get everything and anything in between. Okay, where are you in your baking journey? Oh, Mama Bear, pray for safety here, because Mama Bear and her family are in Israel, and we don't know what the next days and weeks hold with the, ooh, that's heavy stuff. Mama Bear, prayers up for you, and not just you, your loved ones, and obviously where you are. Okay, that must be so scary. I can imagine. did I miss the, oh, then I then I made a donation to the channel, honey. Thank you. Thank you. She gave us a super chat. Thank you, Denai. Thank you so very much. Lollipop, I think I can see there's trouble brewing in there, but I can't. I think I'm so far in the chat. I take it they haven't come to fix the toilet then, honey. Let me see what I'm missing. The contractor hasn't. That must be frustrating. Sorry for you, darling. I hope they can come in and fix this for you quickly enough, okay? This is annoying. Yeah, I can see it's about the toilet, okay? So, people, we've talked about when you discover that dream, okay? When you discover the dream of being a home baker, the unspoken truths about going from a home baker to a business will take treating your kitchen space like a workspace long before you become that business, okay? It will require you making peace with the partner when you need to, or letting it go when you have to, okay? And it will also require assessing the relationships around you, including the friendships and how supportive they are of you, your goals and dreams about this thing. And you will also find out that just because you had a dream to turn your goal, your thing here into a business, doesn't necessarily mean you certainly have enough space and time, okay? You don't have the space and time to do that, because what if you live in a space where you have a small kitchen and a bed sit over here? You're gonna have to make it work. What if you have a day job that you go to? It's long, it's demanding, it's going to physically exhaust you. What are the steps you are going to take to make sure that even though you have these challenges, they don't stop you from transitioning or achieving your goal in its full course? What actions are you going to take? You're just going to have to embrace the situation for what it is and define your own pace. So this is what it may look like. Success may not come quickly to you or for you. And that's because you're probably not putting in all the hours. But that doesn't mean that you won't succeed. It simply means that your expectation of success is being able to utilize your time efficiently and in a disciplined manner. That's what success will look like in the short term as you pursue your goals. That's what it will look like. So how comfortable are you? Because if you want to rush that journey, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. You will crash out and burn out quicker than you can say jack. Believe me. The customers will not come trooping in. It takes up to 18 to 24 months to get a steady list of clients. But even so, baking as a business has down moments and busy moments. So, and the down moments and busy moments is also dependent on your kind of business plan and structure. If you are an independent home-based service provider who creates niche cakes, you're not going to have like 5 or 6 orders a week all the time. It's not going to happen. If you're making niche cakes that cost up to £1,000, unless you have staff, you are not going to be able to execute 3-4 cakes perfectly every weekend. So you see, the money will be appealing, but depending on output, you couldn't take all the orders. So depending on how you structure your business, you look at your income goal and then you set your business according to that. And then you move accordingly. So recognizing the amount of time and space you have and how that influences your goals is important. Lollipop. I am so sorry for the drama with this landlord and contractor. I hope it just gets sorted for you, because this 4 years, like, are you kidding? It's a lot of drama, people. I can almost understand some of these landlords. Ish. Lollipop, I hope this gets sorted ASAP, right? So my people, those are some of the things to look out for. I've told you what to look out for. If you have any question, put it in the chat. Let's discuss it further. Maybe on the next one, we'll be talking about some of the mistakes to avoid before going business mode. Okay, next time, that's what we will be talking about. So at least today we covered some of the unspoken things that you will experience trying to go from a home baker to a business, the emotions surrounding it, you know. And the last point ties into the general emotional pressure for you, whether it's coming from friends and family, it's coming from the new demands of trying to pursue your dream, and what it requires of you. What it requires of you to run a business, the realization of that alone can be emotionally pressuring, because certainly you are having to sit with yourself and ask yourself what it takes, okay, to do this and what it looks like for you. So hopefully, with the sort of doorway into this subject, on the next episode we will talk about what you need to avoid, or mistakes you should avoid before eventually going business mode. Because depending on where you are and what you want to do, there are things you can do right, and there are things, if you're not careful, will just scupper your plans before you even start. And some of them include, like, not defining your niche and saying yes to many cakes. Because the point where you are hobby baking is when you say yes to a lot of the things, right? As in yes to all the family member cakes that come and go. But by the time you want to go, okay, to a business, you should be clear about what you are taking, so you don't burn out and end up attracting the wrong customer. Because you know what, reputation matters. The moment you set yourself up as the cheap cake maker because you are led by the fear that you are new and so you are not charging your worth, it's going to affect how people perceive you, and you are going to struggle to change it. So those things we will cover on the next episode. All right. Today, I think I have shouted enough. And our dear Lollipop hasn't had her broken toilet fixed, and I hope it gets fixed soon for her, darling. Okay, Lollipop, have a wonderful day. Thank you for stopping with us. I'm sure I'll catch you on the other side, my love. Okay, take care, and see you soon. And I really hope this gets fixed for you soon. All right. Now, whilst we're at it, I told you, what was it? Oh, I did take some notes about, did I lose it? Okay, yep. There were questions in the last post for me about just some basic questions. Was it last week? It was on the live last week when I was busy doing, what was I doing? I can't even remember. I can't remember what I was, but on the lives, for instance, Tabitha was asking who is a beginner, because she's been baking since she was a baby, and Dawn answered that question for her. Because what determines a beginner and a professional is just the confidence you have in what you are delivering. That's all. And it all depends on how long you've been doing it. It's influenced by time, because the more you do it, the more competent you are and the confidence you get in your competence. So a beginner baker is not necessarily because you are not a business. You can still be a professional standard baker or an advanced baker, I think, in want of a better word. I think a professional then becomes somebody who has trained, sort of, by definition. But an advanced baker would be somebody like Tabitha, because she has done it for a lifetime. So it all depends on when you've been doing it and how good you are with what you are doing. And that answers the question of who is a beginner baker. Dolly was asking me, she's not here today, but in the chat she was asking about the brand of vanilla I had and the fact that she didn't like it because of the smell. And it's a preference thing, you know. So if she doesn't like it, if she was here, I'll be talking to you, Dolly. I mean, get a brand that you prefer, and that's fine. Okay, that's all. The brand I like is what I like, and I like it particularly because it's a Costco. Well, if I had any other option, I'll be choosing that, because I have to drive almost 30 minutes away to go to Costco to buy vanilla, which is kind of annoying. But for the price and value, I am in. So I don't have any like problems with it. But you don't have to like it, and you can always get a brand that you like and is suitable for your circumstance. That's fine. And Dolly, again, in the chat, Dolly was bemoaning how she felt like the classes were not as valuable as she thought. If Dolly was here, this would be a conversation I will be having with her. But because she's not here, I'm going to hold my thoughts. But here's what I will say generally. The conversation wasn't about whether classes are good or not. I will be first to tell you, a valuable class that addresses your specific problem is valuable. I don't care how much it costs. If you can afford it, go for it. Just make sure it supports and addresses your specific problem. Don't be hooked up to the perception that because your favorite person is providing or a class or somebody for the association. People book classes for all the wrong reasons. And I'm just trying to note that make sure you book a class for the right reason. Make sure it is solving the problem you want it to solve for you. And if it isn't, ask questions. Be clear about your objective and intention before you pursue the investment of that course. That aside, the person who puts the class together may be wanting to address a specific problem. And I think on this note, Dolly specifically didn't feel like she had value from it because she felt like the ganache was the same, except she learned to use what do you call it, is it the hand mixer, something. And for that, I will say it's neither here nor there. In fact, I would actually challenge that thought process and say it may not have been valuable because of a perceived unmet expectation, but you learned that, oh, okay, they do use a hand mixer. If you hadn't gone for the class, you probably would never have known. And whatever took you to go to that class, you have now learned something that may slightly improve the quality and outcomes for your ganache. So it is neither here nor there. Just make sure that you can get the class to address your specific problem. I have paid for classes. I have found them invaluably useful for me. And I still speak about my tutors, even though they have discontinued classes. I will always, if they were still in session and I knew they were still as valuable, I would recommend them. And I will do the same for anybody or a class that proves valuable to me. The truth is, you never know until you take the class. So just make sure that you are finding the right class to support your goals. That's all. Dawn is saying, Gladys, how much vanilla seeds would you use to replace vanilla in your cake? Ooh. On average, I couldn't tell you because it will depend on the size of the pot and how many seeds you have in. But then I have never used seeds. I can only think about how many vanilla pods you will need to put in a quantity of vodka or bourbon or ethanol to let it sit and become vanilla extract. So I wouldn't know because I've never used the seeds. It depends. So you see, it depends on the pods. Because the pots come in different sizes. Some are thinner, some are bigger. It just depends, and I wouldn't know. Sorry. There were also a few questions in the last live that were directed at what I was doing, because Auntie Jackie was also asking me if I'm not on a live during the baking and decorating, if I listen to music or something. Yes, I do, actually. I listen to podcasts. I listen to like talking videos on YouTube, a few different, and it's not just cake. They cover a few varied subjects, from royalty to any and everything in between. I just like to keep myself distracted. The music is also very varied, from gospel music to anything in between that you will actually not think I listen to, okay? Just something that I would enjoy that would also distract me from the busyness of the kitchen. So if I'm not on a live, I would have music, a podcast. Sometimes I would have, say, a Bible study. Also, it all depends. If I'm stressed, I want something that will keep me happy and occupied and engaged. And if I feel very calm and confident in what I'm doing and I'm well rested, most likely you'll find me listening to a preaching or a Bible study. So, yep. I went through all last week not realizing that it was Tabitha's anniversary and she was baking anniversary brownies. But Dawn covered that for us. She wished Tabitha well. So maybe I have to come back and wish Tabitha a happy anniversary, okay? Because I went back to the chat and I saw she was baking brownies and that has gone. And Auntie Jackie was with her mom last week at the doctor's when she was speaking to us on the live. I missed all of that. But you see, the here is to saying I did go back and have a look. So if I missed you last week and I wasn't as engaged, I am so sorry. These talk sessions should be able to help me address some of those shortcomings and hopefully continue to provide you some more value on that basis. People, can you believe that I've been sat here yapping for an hour and 15 minutes already? I cannot believe how quick the time has flown. I cannot. Well, if you've enjoyed the tips that we have shared about the untold stories or untold experiences of being a home baker, share the video with somebody who really has a dream. And it doesn't have to be cakes. It can be a few many things that people really, sometimes the journey is the same. The journey is the same. The experiences are similar. Okay. The hope though is that everyone is encouraged and supported. So yeah, I'm excited to be back, to sit down for a bit before some cake kind of like comes calling, because you know a cake will come calling and suddenly all the peace I have will just disappear out the window. Because when the cake comes calling, I'll be like, people, we need to go. We need to go. We need to let this one go. Okay. But even better, I think this sit down session has been like satisfying, because I kind of feel like it hasn't been a wasteful chit chat. It's been set in just trying to address some very practical home business baking experiences that are not widely spoken about. So yep, there we are. Let's see who is in the chat. Dawn says, oh, you don't need to apologize for anything, darling. I know I don't, but it's always lovely to acknowledge, you know, because I really do appreciate all the, like, I have never, it comes from a place of appreciation, that's all. Okay. It comes from a place of appreciation, because it's like, if I know the community has become a thing of its own, and you guys kind of enjoy each other's company, and you guys kind of talk to each other and do stuff. So it's suddenly not about counting on me necessarily to keep you engaged and going, which I sincerely do understand. But I also know for some people it is a kind of, especially when people show up and they're like, hi, they say hi to me expecting some sort of acknowledgement. And so when I go back into the chat and realize that, oh, I wasn't able to do that, it's like, oh, I could do better. That's all. So yeah, I know I don't have to, but it's because I do sincerely care about you guys being here. So, whew. It's been an hour and 50 minutes of yapping about cakes. There, I am actually in the don't I know that. Don't say we have a great time when you are busy. Don't I know that? Because when I went back into the chat, I'm like, these people are having a ball. Like, I'm talking literally all the fun here. You guys were talking over there, and I saw, I think it was in that Tabitha was talking about, you guys were talking about Becky, as in the Becky you watch and all the things you do. I'm like, okay, people, you are having fun. So then I don't have to feel the pressure of keeping you company. So you see, that is another form of value, because I used to just think, ooh, if I come and I make a tutorial, if I come and I'm busy and I don't engage with you, that's not nice. And then I had to kind of figure out, I had to come to the acceptance that, you know what, sometimes it's not even about me and what I say. It's about providing the opportunity for you guys to kind of catch up with each other in the chat. So with that, I'm like, okay, let's roll with it. On the days we can yap and yap and yap, great. On the days we come and teach and teach and teach, that's amazing. And on the day we just get busy, Then I says the people in the community are great. I know. Then you make the community, you know, you. The community isn't a community. It's not like a separate thing. It's you. And I'm so grateful that we have such an innately supportive group who are not just supportive of me, but are kind to each other. It is really nice. And I really love that for us. You haven't met half the people yet. Because when we started, you know, the lives are such that the community is the community and people come and go as life happens. Okay? The truth is, I've always been grateful for the people I've encountered on the lives, from our first moderator, Amanda. I remember her. And the reason why she sticks out to me is because she was on the live like as a subscriber. And then one day she just emailed me and she was like, well, if you don't mind, I will just moderate. I had no idea what moderator is. So I just blacked her. I was like, okay, I'll check. And then I went and I inquired on YouTube what a moderator is. And that was how I even knew how to okay the blue thing. Okay. So when I did that, she would be there keeping everybody company. And so if you go back to my very old videos, you will see the pineapple upside down. She nominated that cake because when we started the live, you could nominate a cake you want us to make, and I made that pineapple upside down because of her, because she chose it. And then I made the video and she emailed me to thank me. But then here's what happened. I have to know that sometimes people value anonymity. Like these lives, there are people I talk to outside of the live, which is exciting and I love it. But I always have to also remember that people enjoy the anonymity. So if people don't want the reveal or I don't ask for it, I treat it as it's still a safe space for you to decide what you want to do and make decisions about your needs. So then after a while, I didn't hear from Amanda. I didn't see her in the chat. And I will email her and I didn't get a response. And after a while, it's like, you just have to accept that people have moved on, something has happened, but there's no way of knowing. And it just made me feel so sad because I sincerely just wanted her to know that I really appreciated her being here for me the very first time when I knew nothing about what was happening. And we've also had Delaney, our friend Delaney. So after Amanda came Delaney, and Delaney is a school, a high school, a high school senior who began to moderate the chat. And then her school time transitioned, as in it evolved. So I think she's headed to university. You will see her occasionally in the chat when the time is right, because the lives didn't start at 1 o'clock then. Okay, the lives used to be in the evenings and when I could. So then Delaney moved on, and then the lot of you who are now here happened. And even the lot that are still here, there is still Nicola. Nicola is in Italy. She's a food content creator, but she went on holiday in Malaysia. So she hasn't been here for a while now. And there is Steph, as in Seasons. Like all of you who are now here, like it's still like in my mind, I'm like, I can't afford you people. Okay? It's not like it's a paid thing, but it's really nice. So thank you. The moderators, you have made the community what it is. And so, yeah, that is just an appreciation to you all. Winora said, oh, Winora, I remember you. You were out here talking to the little producer with his artwork. I missed the notification for the live by accident a few minutes ago. Enjoy the advice I had. I wish to turn my hobby as a baker into a business. So appreciative of what, oh, you're welcome. Look, you are welcome. But you know what? In the next, I want this to be like a series. So in the next few videos to follow in the future, I will hope to break this down for you, as in give you some practical advice and steps. I've always said the locations will vary in terms of the guidelines and regulations, but the blueprint for making a business is the same, especially for a baking business. It is the same. whilst it will remain generally the same, what's important is for you to recognize your own story in your journey and embrace it. Okay, your journey to success may not be like that person who found out that recipe they loved and boom, they ended up on social media and then it took off because people wanted to support a story. Yours will be that, especially if you are a person who is very cautious. It took me a long time to come to the internet and shout, you know. I think if I had started shouting 10 years ago, I would have been successful in terms of the numbers and what it looks like. But I used to be dead scared. Now look at me. The only script I have is just the pointers to help me cover the subject without veering off over here. Okay? And so what I'll tell you is that recognize yourself in your story, because when you recognize yourself in your story, you will identify your shortcomings, you will identify your weaknesses, but in the same breath you will understand your strengths and what is important to you, and that will ultimately lead you to where you are headed. Success is not linear, remember that. So thank you for that. Then I says, Gladys, you're looking great and relaxed. It makes sense that you are not working on an order right now. You know what? I said that first when I came. I'm like, when I am not baking stresses me, like customer orders. I've been doing this 10 years plus. I will never ever feel like I have made it. It will never. You know why? Because when you love and care about the thing, you cannot be okay. The only time you're okay is when the cake goes out and you're like, because first of all, the process itself is demanding. Making the cake, like, come stand here and bake a 2-tiered cake. The kitchen is hot, it's small, you are hot and bothered, and then you have to do the parts you don't enjoy. Like when I'm making a cupcake, making the cupcake is not the part that bothers me. I love a cupcake recipe. Oh, I've got it. When I have to make those little toppers, 130 of them, no. Okay? And there's a reason why I choose edible prints. There's a reason. There's a reason why I choose, because trying to stamp happy birthday and then stamp it neatly and then cut it, please, no. So yes, today I feel relaxed because I also, because when school is off, like when the kids get a break from school, my routine is a bit unsettled. But since the kids went back to school, I have like I love structure. I function on structure and routine. So that is also probably the reason. But yeah, last week was a hell of a mess. That's so lovely. Then I said, I agree. Dana is addressing Winora. So she said, I agree. We found this channel and the community is helpful. I wish you all the best. Oh, you know what? We want to know about your journey. So Dana, you are not leaving us anytime soon. We are going to watch you succeed at what you're doing. Okay? We are going to watch you. We are going to inspire you. We are going to keep you going. Okay? All we ask you is come and hold the safe space and tell us what you are going through, because that is the only way we can speak to your situation. Because sometimes what is keeping you in that little ecosystem is because nobody is speaking directly to the situation you have over there. Nobody. And sometimes that's how life happens. Like, sometimes you are in this situation you've never been before, and the people who have been there are too ashamed to tell you that I've been here before. So you are sat here drowning in your sorrow. So we refuse to make this space a lonely spot. And as long as we exist, and I pray this to come true, that even if we grow, because it happens to be the case that when a channel grows and sees success, it gets infiltrated by outsiders, and then the community gets toxic. Hear me when I say I am not responsible for that community. The only reason is that you guys trusted me and decided to pitch your tents on a channel that has my name. You guys managed to identify a value system that we all share, which is kindness, helpfulness, respect, and holding space for varied opinions. And I pray that even as the numbers grow, this value doesn't get lost, because you attract your own. Water seeps down to its level. So even when the new people come, when the trolls come, because the numbers will grow. We just hit 10,000, okay? We are not going to stay at 10,000. We are not. We are going to grow, and I hope you are here to see that. But when the numbers grow, the numbers don't grow in a vacuum. The numbers grow because somebody made a decision to press the subscribe button. Somebody decided that, I like this channel and I will stay here. So when those people join the village we have built, okay, and you don't align in value, remember, I will always stand for my value. And my value here is integrity. Integrity, which is that I will not tell you something that I haven't experienced. I am committed to giving you an experience that is wholesome, and I try my best. Am I a perfect human being? No. But the truth is, the subject is not about my life and the imperfections that exist in it, okay? The subject is cake, and cake comes with a defined method and process. And as long as we are dealing with cakes, you can always trust that you will get the real thing. I will come here, I will test the recipe, it will fall flat, then we will all learn. Okay? And if it turns out great, you will see too. That is where my integrity above all else exists, to give you the tools to make you a better baker. But when it comes to the community, we are responsible for creating the atmosphere and the space that we have. So I will entreat you to make sure you keep your space safe and make sure everyone who exists in it is safe too. That's all. Deborah says, Dawn says, I absolutely love cooking, but when I'm making a special occasion meal, I... Have you tried Ghana jollof? Dawn, I'm going to have to send you... Okay. I'm just validating you, Dawn. We all feel that if you've tried Ghana jollof, people out here putting jollof on the internet like it's easy to cook. Lies. Gladys, why are you shouting? Okay? Lies. Okay, Gladys, calm down. Okay? Gladys, calm down. Okay? You know how I know people are telling you false information about jollof? Because they don't tell you how long you should cook the tomatoes for. And I am saying this with my full chest on Beyonce's internet. The recipes that says, oh, Deborah, are you laughing? You can relate to what I'm saying, right? Let me tell you, I want to say it like I'm feeling it, but that will have me canceled. Like, if you're an African, okay? If you're an African, or you you have a specific group of people where you've grown up knowing jollof, believe me, you will know how to cook jollof even in the village where there's village fire, okay? Because that is where skill is developed. This business of cooking jollof on a European hob, that is elite experience. But that's a whole different skill. Because the way I learned to cook jollof, it is to please your mother-in-law, okay? that mother-in-law who doesn't like you, because jollof will make or break your marriage. When I tell you, Deborah will tell you, because you know what jollof will do? The rice will be scattered like Deborah, help a sister out here. Jollof, the rice, because the rice that you cook in the tomato sauce, there has to be a perfect balance of moisture, as in the quantity of moisture, and taste and heat. So the heat just has to be right, that the rice doesn't burn. Talking about rice, I didn't expect this to happen, but you know, we keep it real here. I have rice. Talk about rice burning. This is not burnt. This is by intention. This is rice in butter. If you grew up in my native Ghana, this is the best part of the rice. Okay? It's the crust that's the best part. Okay? But if your jollof rice starts crusting, if the jollof rice starts crusting even before the rice cooks, you know you are in trouble. So when I tell you, the people who are out here telling you, oh, put tomatoes in the oil and fry, and they don't tell you, now that you've heard it from me, go back and watch the jollof tutorials. They don't tell you. If nobody ever told you that tomatoes has to simmer down for up to 40 minutes to an hour, they are giving you wrong jollof. Okay? Because the jollof will be sour, will be tangy because of the kind of tomatoes you've used. And if you don't cook it down to sweeten the tomatoes, all you are eating is tomato rice. It looks red and colored. Please, don't worry. I've got you covered on that jollof. Don't worry. But if you are already cooking something and you feel like a wreck, you are not alone. Because in all my years of cooking jollof, when I have to cook, when I'm faced with that challenge, I am a wreck too. That's all. Deborah says, my mom is a very good cook, but she wasn't. Deborah, thank you. Said she wasn't cooking jollof, but my sister is an amazing cook and is so good in cooking jollof. It really do. I'm not lying. That's all. And Winora says, same, Jamaica. Okay, darling. Yeah, this is the look. Who said we were going to talk about rice? Okay, but this is the best part of rice. It's the best part of the rice. I cooked it for my son, and then I thought I'll keep the crust. This with hot sauce and sardines, elite. That's it. I'm just letting you know. So like I said, jollof will humble you. So Dawn, you are not alone, my love. You are not alone. I'll see if I can find a jollof tutorial that has been covered properly, and if I need to give you some pointers. I think you will love jollof. I think you would. Okay? But people, we've had a blast today. We have. So I'm going to go now, and I'll see you on the next one, where we'll be talking about the no, fail, or foolproof steps you need to take before you establish that baker into a business. And before I go, not just keeping it as a hopeful thing, you know, you need to start taking action now, as in clean your kitchen, find where your pans are, and get to baking that recipe you've been putting off. Good luck. I'll see you on the next one.